So, as we all know, Zambia is a nation that is well endowed with so many riches, a rich culture, cuisine, and over 72 tribes. However, do you know that there are about 7.2% of the Zambian population are people living with disabilities? My name is Ataiz Ndawa, and I am the representative of the Health and Education team. The lady you are seeing on your screen is my friend Mercy Musonda. Mercy and I grew up in the same neighborhood. We went to school together, and she and I were almost friends that that grew up together. But then one day, Mercy and her family were on a road trip to Lusaka. Unfortunately, as life would be, her family and her were involved in a road traffic accident that claimed Mercy's family's lives, her parents, and her younger sister. Mercy became an orphan at the tender age of 14. Mercy got into severe depression because she lost one of her limbs, as can be seen in the picture. She dropped out of school and she lost her way. With time, Mercy was able to get help from the Chainama Institute of Mental Health, and now she is a woman who's working in one of the big organizations and helping ladies who have been through similar situations that Mercy was in. As we are all aware, people living with disabilities go through various mental health issues. One of the problems that they also go through is the lack of accommodation in our societies. They do not have proper jobs, they lack education facilities that are able to offer them the much needed help that they need to go through the required education for them to actually get a job that will be sustainable for their lives. They are also not given priority in the various corporate social responsibilities of many private companies and the government as well. We, as the health and education group, thought that we would venture in this particular group of people and offer them solutions that would be life changing. One of the solutions that we thought is having awareness sessions on the mental health conditions that people who are living with disabilities face. Some of these go through anxiety attacks, depression, and various mental health related conditions. Another solution that we wanted to offer to these people is one of offering craft and skill training, general entrepreneurship, and job training. The other solution that we would want to offer to this cluster of people is having a physical or virtual support group depending on the location. And lastly, we would like to develop an application that will have specialized personnel from various institutions of health in Zambia that will offer these people physical, psychological, and physiotherapeutic needs. Looking at Zambia, our business model is encompassed as it has been illustrated above. Firstly, on our left, I'm just going to briefly run through our business model and how we plan to execute what we're talking about. Firstly, we want to offer free services of mental health outreach sessions that are going to be talking about the various highlighted conditions that I had mentioned earlier. We're going to be offering skills training program and specifically reusable pads. I will highlight later on what we mean by the reusable pads as we're going to use this in our pilot project. Thirdly, we would like to have support groups, mental health awareness and skills handbooks, premium service applications, as I have already stated earlier. Then going to our business model, we would firstly like to have a 2-year program that we're going to run on health and awareness, as well as the skills training. Then during these 2 years, we will have curriculum printouts that are going to be generating income to our institution or to our organization. Furthermore, we would like to have illustrative monthly booklets. These will be tailored to either the caregivers of these people living with disabilities that will break down the various mental health conditions, how they present and how they can be managed, and as well whom they can seek when they need the intervention. Furthermore, we would like to partner with the government and other private companies. These people have the resources. However, we want to offer them solutions so that they can diverge the funds that are already secured for the corporate social responsibility so that the disabled people can also benefit from them. Thirdly, we would like to develop an app, as I have stated. So all these will be done in the 2 years. Once we have established ourselves, we would then want to move on to mass production of pads. Then we will expand to other skills training once we master the pad production, and lastly have a mental health institution for the disabled. Looking at our market, Zambia, according to the Central Statistics Office in 2015, indicated to have had about 1,080,000 persons living with disabilities. The prevalence of the disability is estimated to be 10% among adults, which translates to 112,000 Zambians who are aged above 18 years living with disabilities, and this is our target population. With regards to our market validation, as I have already stated earlier, these people have two main problems. Firstly, they stand 5 times the chance of developing a mental health issue compared to those who do not have any disability. Secondly, the high levels of unemployment due to low skills, inadequate education, discriminatory attitudes among the society, and so many reasons that render these people to not having an income generating venture. With regards to this, we are very hopeful that our solution will be welcomed by these people, and we know that it will be to the benefit of them. The next part that we're going to talk about is our competition. In Zambia, the next part we're talking about is our competition. In Zambia, we have three organizations that are running presently and working with the disabled. The first is the Zambian Federation of Disability Organizations, the ZAFOD. This is an organization that is a mother body that we would also have to register under because they offer similar solutions. However, they focus mostly on the human right aspects of the disabled. The next one is the Disability Inclusive Association of Zambia. These equally advocate for human rights of the disabled. And lastly, the Twatasha Disabled and Orphans and Vulnerable Children's Organizations. This is an NGO that promotes respect and provides the fundamental rights for persons with disabilities. Our competitive advantage in this stance is that we are going to be looking at a component in society that is often overlooked, even for people who are not living with disabilities, and this is the mental health aspect. We do hope that with the many solutions that we're going to offer, people will start taking mental health serious, something personal, because it is something that is often overlooked not only in Zambia but Africa at large. And if we are able to make the message known to people about how important being sound in mind is, we will be able to reach out not only to the disabled, but the caregivers as well. The other competitive advantage we have over these three organizations is that we are going to be offering income generating solutions. We hope that with the curriculum that we're going to develop for these people, they will be able to get themselves jobs that will be sustainable not only for them, but for their families and future generations. We are aware that there's so many disabled people on the streets who roam the streets with children begging just to meet an end. However, if we were able to bring these people and offer them a solution such as the one we're talking about as the pads, they will be able to take up that skill and produce something that will run and help them sustain their lives. And lastly, the phone application that we had earlier talked about will be a first of its kind. It's going to help these people, as we have already highlighted in this COVID-19 era that we are living. Sorry, it is inevitable to live without having the technological facilities that are available to us. So we want to tap into the technological advances that are happening to have these people have specific needs put up on a line, put up on an app, and the various health professionals there, so that if they can afford the premium services that are going to be on this app, that will also help us in the generation of income. The next slide will be taken up by my co-presenter, as he's going to talk about our pilot project that we hope to start our run with the disabled. Thank you.
Good evening. Thanks very much for this opportunity. My mic was muted. I would like to start by saying that, or referring to Horace Main's quote, that education, then beyond all other forms of human origin, is the greatest equalizer of the lives of men. And it's so evident that 1 in 4 of every person you meet in the world is suffering from an invisible disability. And what are we referring to? Mental health. Hence our pilot project. At Momuna Basic School, with about 30 participants and their caregivers, we aim to start our pilot project that will target a 3 months. The period of time we're looking at is 3 months. The activities involve a mental outreach, talking about depression, and partnering with experts to talk about anxiety disorders, personality mode disorders, and have specialized persons. We've already gotten in contact with REPSI Zambia, which stands for Regional Psychosocial Support Initiative, who specialize in mental health and have a wide channel, a wide outreach channel, which we would like to utilize in terms of reaching our clients, reaching the target persons and the intended persons. We also want to bring about a reusable pad training session for the people with disabilities. If you pay close attention to most people with disabilities, you notice that sometimes it's not a complete disability. Maybe it's their limbs that are not okay, but their hands are fully functioning. And as we all know, I think for development to take place and for us to be competitive, it's important that we bring everybody together and their contribution is brought on the table. Hence, our groups as the education and health team, hence the step we've taken to try and bring everybody on board. The participants also, we want to form a support group, just like churches have cell groups to support people. We want to have a concentration group or a support group that will meet about every 2 weeks with an overseer and counselor who's a specialist, and with us available to offer one-on-one sessions, counseling sessions to the individuals we're talking about. Our financial outlay or our financial outlook for the pad training, we're looking at doing about 90 pads for about 3 sessions with an average of 30 people. This will cost us about 1,000 kwacha, with the total amounting to 3,000 kwacha with other overhead costs. The mental health outreach programs will be done every quarter for every quarter of the year, and the transport for about 5 individuals costing about 1,000 kwacha per day, with the total getting to about 1,500. On stationery, we're talking about the papers we'll be using, the placards, the printing we'll be doing, and the research papers for the outreach. That will cost us about 200 kwacha a day, with a total reaching amounting to about 600. Our support group platform also, which will be dedicated to developing a database through social media, because we spoke about an application that we'll use for to make accessible to the people or our target individuals, will cost us about, let me just I couldn't see the figure. It will cost us about 7,000. That would be the total. And the materials for that we'll use for the generation of pads, and we intend to utilize our sister programs. We heard our colleagues talk about reusable plastics. So we feel that we can buy from each other and buy into their product, and also support the business and get these products at a cheaper cost. And then we also, which will, for about 20 people, 20 kwacha per pad, and we'll have 3 sessions for about 30 people, amounting to about 1,800. The equipment will comprise of 3 sewing machines, 30 cutting scissors, 30 measuring tapes and rulers, 10 cotton needles, which the machine will be 6,000 kwacha. The scissors are 20 kwacha each, with the 10 cotton needles about 30 kwacha each. And the contingency fund will be at 2,000, and the total estimated budget, our ask is 35,400 kwacha. We can.
I'm going to help Wiza from this presentation. We're going to look at the press. We hope to reach out many people firstly by beginning with having a Facebook page that will have the tailored information that we have already highlighted. We're also going to have an Instagram page and TikTok pages because these are platforms that are reaching people in a very short time and will help us pull the much needed support that we need. Another thing that we want to venture in is having banners at hospitals, schools, and malls that will have awareness of who we are and what we are doing on the ground. Lastly, we're going to have social media campaigns and television launch interviews. On the left is the team. Thank you so much for listening to our presentation, and we are grateful and receiving any questions that the judges might have for us.
Thank you, guys. That was really good. Actually, really useful to hear your pitch, and we'll wait for the judges to join us, and then we can kind of take some questions and some feedback from them.
Okay, so I will.
You can go ahead. Yes.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and start. So great presentation, and really excited that you're thinking about, people who are, most times like the low priority on our list. So this is a really great way to help out. My question for you is more when it comes to doing research for this, and in two ways. One is, because when we develop programs, sometimes we tend to project what we want for our customers. So one is, have you actually taken time to interview the disabled and understand what are their needs? Because when you understand what they're really looking for, your programs will actually be more impactful. So that is one. And then the second is where you talk about using digital, right? So whether it's the app or using Facebook, there again, I think the great thing is you can easily reach a lot of people with Facebook or with your app when you develop it. But my question is, well, if you're targeting for your target market, do they have the smartphones to actually get access to that app? And if they don't, how do you plan then to make sure that they get the smartphones? And who's going to develop? I haven't heard a bit about how you plan to develop that app, etc. But that's more my questions for you.
Okay, so a great presentation. I mean, I love the story. The story is always important as the why. So I love the fact that you shared such a powerful story. My question is, what is your business structure? So are you going to be a for-profit organization or a non-profit organization? And two, why did you choose PADS specifically? So those are my two questions.
I'm going to help. I don't know if I can be heard. I'm having some bad network. Can you all hear me?
We can, yeah.
Okay, so we firstly are going to be a non-profit organization, if I can say, because the line of service that we're offering, there's really little to no profit, but then we are trying to maximize the routes in which we can actually generate a revenue. So, like I had explained, we'll be partnering with various companies and also making little booklets and also having a curriculum that we can sell. So that will be our standpoint with regards to generating revenue. And then for the other question that you had with regards to the pads, we targeted the pads because like the statistics had shown, most of the people who are disabled are the women, and they are the people who stand disadvantaged. So we chose the pad because it is something that is easy to make, and looking at the prices of pads that are disposable, they are skyrocketing. So if we can have something that can be made locally and that can be sold to people at a price that is affordable and can be used for a long period of time, they can actually have that will be generating income for them. So the main reason why we chose the pad is because of the market availability, one. And the second thing is that it is something that is easy to teach and execute, so that we first study the people that we're working with and we assess how flexible they are to expand to other skills.
Okay, thank you for that, and thanks, Constance, for
asking that question but I'm still unclear from your answer because it seems to me that you want a hybrid business model. You want a for-profit venture that supports a non-profit beneficiary group. And I think it's fine. It's good to have that because your passion is to make sure that you are helping your beneficiary group and you want them at the center of your business. But generating income from that group may not be possible. So you have to create something to make that money from, to be able to support your beneficiary group. But I think the comment I want to make is that you actually have a very strong business case, but I think it's how you're presenting it that makes it difficult to see. You're bringing different things to the surface and the real core that is strong, you're not highlighting it. So from where I sit, the real strengths are that you are, number one, producing a product that is necessary, that is useful, and there's a market for lower cost pads for women across Africa. And for you to have the venture that produces this, and the production process involves your beneficiary group, is really wonderful. People may be wanting to pay a premium to buy your pads because of how, the community that make it and the skills that are transferred. So I think that is the first thing to put up front and center, that you're producing a product that is needed, and the way it's being produced is done differently. It's actually building capacity all along the line. The second thing that I saw that I'm not clear on, but I'm perhaps reading into it, is the app. The app is also wonderful in that you're looking at how do you match skills within you're saying that disabled community have skills and they want to work. And how do you match them to people that can perhaps offer them work? So that's also an innovation that is part of this business that you're looking at developing. So I think perhaps in the way that we're seeing it, it's not clear. You need to clarify where the profit-making angle it is. What is the business case for that? What is the non-profit? And then the mental health issue is perhaps an end point of it, is because, people having work may just in itself, having work dignity, dignified work in itself solves a lot of mental health issues. But also offering the counseling and all that, I would suggest that perhaps it's not you that has to do everything. Perhaps you'll partner with somebody else mental health organizations that have been doing this for a long time. But the innovations that I see are the making of the pads and perhaps other products allied to that, and the innovation app. So that's my comment.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sheila. Ralph, I know we've had issues getting you on, and you're on now. If you'd like to unmute and maybe provide some feedback if you've got any.
Yes, I love the idea. I mean, mental health is a huge problem here, and I see that it. I've had it in my own family, and we've seen that it really requires a lot of care and help, which we just don't have the capacity in Zambia right now. And to tie that into a business model is innovative. It's clever. It's going to take a little bit more thought, I think, to make sure that it works. But I think both of these things are absolutely necessary, and I would certainly offer my time to try and help make the business side work, so that it's relatively sustainable. I'm not sure that it can be self-financing in the long term, but we'll see how that goes. Anyway, I definitely think this is the most innovative idea.
I actually have a comment. On the mental health side, there's a company in the United States called Better Health, right? And Better Health is an online platform. It's an app that connects mental health experts to the people who need the help. So when it comes to innovation, right, and you're thinking about the app, really making that app one where you can start on Facebook and put it into a physical app, but looking at international brands that have done it so you can learn about it. So Better Health is one of them. And so, like, to the point of business modeling, the reason I ask that is because it's important to be clear on that. So, like, one of the things I was thinking about for you guys is that you have your mental health platform, right? So you have students who may go through your program. Then at the end of your program, they're placeable, right? So instead of limiting your students to just making pads, how about if there's one who's intellectually possible to go into banking, maybe they can go into retail. It's to create a job placement, right? So that as your students graduate through your program, they could work in different institutions. I don't like the idea of limiting, one's mind to just say, hey, you're just going to make pads. How about if they have dreams of going into real estate and dreams of going into agriculture? So maybe think about doing kind of like a job placement. So when they finish your program, you can sort of partner them up with other employers, who are willing to take them on and train them and continue that, sort of progression through the careers.
Okay. Just to mention on that, the diversification of the skills was actually part of the components that we had. We had general entrepreneurship and we also had the job training. So, like you have highlighted, it is very true. There will be diversification that is part of our plan, but specifically for our pilot, we just want to use the pads. Then, with time, we'll be able to progress to other skills, which I'm sure would be very helpful to the various needs of the disabled. Thank you.
Judges, once again, thank you for your feedback. That was really good. Thank you for sharing your guidance on how we can move forward in Zambia with all these great ideas. And I'd love to say as well, like, you're doing a really good job addressing these issues, because Zambia is a place where we have so many resources, unfortunately, but it starts with us as people getting our minds right and mental health on the chart. Lisa, in your introduction, you mentioned using soccer and creating programs. That's a
Yeah,
definite,
grassroots programs.
yeah, grassroots programs. That's definitely a good idea to go through. And there's so many other sport programs, so Chabe, and you have B tennis that are doing a good job really tackling those issues. But thank you for your presentation. Mr. Anderson, do you have anything to add on that?
I think that was well articulated. Thank you so much. Nothing further to add. Just, guys, congrats on a great presentation. And judges, as always, thank you for your feedback. Super useful.